pronounced countries. That won't be possible with the European patent, the unitary patent system. So the unitary patent costs, fees to grant are not yet decided. There's been some discussion of fees of nothing, or maybe 1,000 to 5,000 euros. Renewal fees, again, not yet decided, but they're expected to be in the region of 4 to 5 times the average national annuity fee. So if you were to file cases with a wide geographical spread, then you'll probably save money in relation to translations and renewals. But if you're looking at 2, 3, 4 countries, then the benefits may be marginal. So that's talking about the patent up to the point of grant and what rights you get. Now, what can you do with them? The idea is that the Unified Patent Court will come into existence, and it will be a single court of the European Union member states which are signed up to the system, and it will have exclusive jurisdiction on validity and infringement, other things such as seeking preliminary injunctions, and there may be licensing issues relating to it, and also is intended that it will cover SPCs too. Similar exclusive jurisdiction of traditional European patents, subject to the following. There'll be a transitional period of 7 years, which may be extended to 14 years for actions which may still be brought before national courts. So there's going to be quite a period of sort of handover here, and there'll also be an opt-out provision whereby until 1 month before, up to the expiry of the transitional period, the European Patent Convention proprietor may elect to opt out from the exclusive competence of the UPC, possibly having to pay a fee per designation, but again, uncertain. This means that it may well be many years before we see the European Patents, the Unified Patents Court really getting up to full speed. It remains an option that once opted out, and a patent proprietor may wish to opt back in if that suits their needs, provided there's no pending national action in place in the national court. And there'll still be European patent oppositions available for normal EPC patents and also for unitary patents. So very quickly, the structure of the Court of First Instance will comprise a central division with essentially 3 parts. There'll be the Paris seat, which is where the presidential office will be, and that will relate to, there'll be a technical sort of division, as it were, between the three seats. There's the Paris seat, the London section, and the Munich section. And London will deal with human necessities and chemistry and metallurgy and life sciences. The Munich section will deal with mechanical engineering and lighting, heating, and other fields, and then the Paris section will deal with others that don't readily fall into the London and the Munich case. I'm just going to skip over the constitution of judges as time is up. So the local divisions okay, thank you. The local divisions will be constituted in several European Union member states. And there'll be regional divisions as well for groups of EU member states. And so, and these will have a particular jurisdictional considerations, which I'll talk about in a moment. And there'll then be a single court of appeal based in Luxembourg, and with a greater constitution of judges. I've mentioned the allocation of cases, but by way of a technical split, but it may be a little complex as well. So we may find that there's an infringement action that was brought before a local or a regional division where in the jurisdiction where the infringement occurred or where the defendant is based. So where you have infringements occurring across multiple jurisdictions, again, there may be an element of forum shopping depending on what suits the patentee. Revocation action, if brought as a standalone matter, must be brought before the central division rather than through a local or regional division. So where there's a counterclaim for revocation in the context of replying to an infringement action before a local division, the local division may decide that it's going to hear both infringement and validity, or it might refer validity to the central division, where we've then got a separation, as with the present position in Germany, with a bifurcation. Or it may proceed with the infringement action itself with the I beg your pardon, with the validity action going to the central division, or if the parties can agree, the whole case may go to the central division. No doubt lawyers will have a lot of fun arguing about what should and shouldn't happen on that, so there's still going to be a bun fight on these sorts of things in certain cases, I think. Bifurcation is considered to be controversial. It's something which is an alien concept to people in some jurisdictions. In Germany, it's a long-established practice, but it may lead to forum shopping, and there'll be a question of things like timing of actions. With the present system, I've before now been faced with an infringement action in Germany, and because we can't bring a validity counterclaim on that because of pending opposition, which will take years, we've then brought actions for revocation in the British High Court to seek to gain some parallel determinations on infringement and validity. As far as the language of the court is concerned, it will be that in which the patent is granted, and the defendants to the infringement action may have a right to receive translations. The local and the regional divisions will use the official European language or a designated language of that host country. I'll just skip over the rest of that, but there's very happy to discuss the detail if people wish later. The language of the court of first instance is what will be used in appeals, or if unless the parties agree the language of the patent is granted, or failing that, the parties and the court agree on a different language. I'm going to, again, skip over this. Except to say there have been 17 drafts of the rules of procedure. The last one was in November. The next one is in April or May. In large part, the procedure is settled. It's essentially going to be a written procedure with certain parts leading up to an oral hearing, and the judge will have the tribunal will have the right to order things such as experiments and examination of witnesses and production of documents and things like that. Okay, I won't talk about rights of representation. Safe to say that lawyers generally are going to be able to appear, and European patent attorneys, provided that there's certain further qualifications, will have a right of audience too. I'll miss Spain and Italy as well. Safe to say that there was a challenge by Spain and Italy, which in April 2013 was rejected, based on it being illegal to use the enhanced cooperation procedure. There's been recently a second action by only Spain who have challenged the legality of regulations in themselves, but the Advocate General's opinion in November was that he would dismiss the action. It remains to be seen whether the court follows that, but likely that they will. So it could be that Spain and Italy will ultimately decide reluctantly to join, but we don't know. So, just to finish, some practical considerations. One needs to think now about how you are going to protect your client's inventions if you're writing cases or filing cases in Europe. There's the unitary patent possibility, the European Patent Convention, and national patents. Things such as the strength of the case, the technical field will have come into consideration. Commercial circumstances, often forgotten, particularly by sort of in private practice, where businesses perhaps have a different model. There might be a licensing model, there might be an exclusivity model, but it's the third leg of the stool. There's the law, the science, but the business is critical in deciding how to do these things. Further issues to consider, the European patent may be cheaper if you're only interested in a few countries. The consistency, uniformity, and enforcement and validity, those sorts of things are, I think, potentially illusory. There's going to be a loss of flexibility in terms of selectively pruning countries to reduce renewals. And then there's an intrinsic uncertainty of a new type of court. Now, if you've got high-value patents, particularly in, say, the pharma sector, you're going to be a brave person who puts all of your eggs in one basket. But ultimately, it's going to be necessary to bite the bullet on this. So I think the real issue is simply the keys to success in this are the proof of the pudding is in the eating, and it will be determined. People will use the system, business will use the system, depending on whether the policy and the procedure and the framework is right. And there's been a huge amount of work done on this, and I think, given the political considerations, I think it's a decent effort. But fundamentally, it's going to come down to the quality and the consistency of the judgments from the judges as to whether or not there's going to be confidence in the system. So I think it's going to happen, but it's a case of embracing it. But when it's going to happen, how it's going to happen, I think remains a little open. And thank you very much for your attention.